There comes a moment in every republic's decline when the sane few recognize the problem, and the silent many refuse to act. The United States has arrived at that moment. The threat is not abstract or distant, it is here, in plain daylight, in the White House, and plastered across the president's official channels. Donald Trump has transformed the GOP into a personality cult, remade the Republican Party in his own authoritarian image, and now threatens international norms, alliances, and democratic checks with alarming regularity. The only institution in American government with the constitutional authority to stop this man is Congress. Yet too many Republicans in that body have chosen cowardice over courage, self-interest over public service.
Do you see any checks on your power on the world stage? Is there anything that could stop you if you wanted to?
Yeah, there's one thing, my own morality, my own mind. It's the only thing that can stop, and that's
law.
Very good. I don't need international law. I'm not looking to hurt people.
Do you feel your administration needs to abide by international law on the global stage?
Yeah, I do. I do. But it depends what your definition of international law is. You mean in Greenland?
That's
because you needed them at the time.
In the 1951 agreement, though, it says the United States can reopen these bases anytime you want. You can send as many troops as you want, and you haven't done it. How come?
Because I want to do it properly.
And properly means own it?
Really, it is. To me, it's ownership. Ownership is very important,
Why is ownership important here?
Because that's what I feel is psychologically needed for success. I think that ownership gives you a thing that you can't do, whether you're talking about a lease or a treaty. Ownership gives you things and elements that you can't get from just signing a document that you can have a base.
To observe Trump's behavior over the past months is to watch a rush toward power unrestrained by tradition, law, or decency. He has openly threatened to seize Greenland, an autonomous territory of Denmark since 1721 and part of the NATO alliance, whether they like it or not. European leaders and the people of Greenland themselves have been clear. They do not want to be Americans, and they reject any U.S. takeover. Denmark and its allies have urged Washington to honor international law and respect sovereignty. And yet the president's rhetoric tips into imperial fantasy, echoing the mindset of 19th century colonial expansionists rather than of a democratic leader. He ignores the history and facts about the U.S. military drawdown in Greenland and how his own former bases are now dormant. The regime's Deputy Chief of Staff for Policy, Stephen Miller, suggested that Greenland obviously belongs to the United States and that nobody is going to fight the United States militarily over the future of Greenland. All the president's statements and innuendos about framing foreign policy through personal psychological importance reveal a dangerous belief that might makes right and that his personal will equals the national interest, exposing the deranged musings of a mentally unwell individual. Left unabated, this behavior will not just weaken America's alliances, it would shatter the very foundations of the democratic order the nation has spent generations building. NATO was established after World War II to deter aggression and bind democratic states into a collective security framework. Not once in its history has a member attacked another member. Trump's repeated threats to acquire or take land from a NATO ally undermines that consensus and risks unraveling the alliance. But maybe dismantling NATO was Vladimir Putin's plan for Trump all along. And yet, amid this rapidly escalating crisis, how have congressional Republicans responded with their majority in the House? For the most part, the party's leadership has dealt in evasion, obfuscation, or silence. Speaker Mike Johnson and Senate Majority Leader John Thune have downplayed the likelihood of a military annexation of Greenland, framing Trump's remarks as idle talk rather than genuine policy. Others have offered tepid critiques, expressing discomfort with the rhetoric, but stopping far short of demanding accountability.
So, can we talk about Greenland? I mean, what do you make? The White House this afternoon said maybe we'll have to use military. We're not taking it off the table. I'm curious your thoughts about it.
Who said that?
The White House.
Well, who at the White House? I mean,
I think it was a statement from the press office.
Well, I'm going to go by what the president says, and it didn't come up in his meeting with us today, and he and I haven't had a discussion about it, so I don't know. I think Greenland is viewed by a lot of people as something that would be a strategic positioning for the U.S. I don't know how it develops from there. It's not on my things to do list, but we'll have to see how that goes.
And how do you?
Did Secretary Rubio say that he was trying to buy Greenland? Did Secretary Rubio inform lawmakers that President Trump preferred to buy Greenland when he met with you?
I don't remember that. He might have said it in jest or something. I'm not sure. So.
There are Republican lawmakers willing to criticize the regime's impulses. Senators like outgoing Mitch McConnell have labeled talk of seizing Greenland as unseemly and strategic self-harm, warning that such an act would damage U.S. credibility and undermine critical alliances. Others, from Lisa Murkowski to Rand Paul, have expressed skepticism or outright rejection of the idea that Greenland should be taken by force. But these voices remain exceptions. Most congressional Republicans have either refrained from forceful public denunciations or have framed their objections in cautious diplomatic language rather than outright repudiation of the president's authoritarian tendencies. This hesitancy stems from a simple political calculus. Loyalty to Trump still largely equates to political survival within the GOP. Far too many Republican lawmakers fear the wrath of the MAGA base more than they fear the destruction of the constitutional order. They fear not just for their careers, but for their personal safety too. To see this cowardice in action, look at how Republicans have handled Trump's repeated attacks and threats regarding NATO itself. On multiple occasions, Trump has questioned U.S. commitments to the alliance, fueling concerns among European partners that the United States might consider unilateral action or even abandonment. Yet many Republican congressional leaders responded with mild rebukes, careful, measured, and designed not to anger Trump supporters, rather than clear, unequivocal defense of America's international commitments. Contrast this with the responsibility enshrined in the Constitution. Article 1 gives Congress the power to declare war, control military funding, and check the executive branch. It is Congress, and only Congress, that can stop an overreaching commander-in-chief before he drags the nation into reckless wars or egregious breaches of international law. But in the face of blatant flirtations with imperialism and unilateral force, too many GOP lawmakers retreat, mumble, or distract. Their inaction is not neutrality, it is complicity, even as Trump's judgment is increasingly erratic. If Republicans in Congress could summon the courage to stand up for the Constitution, to assert their war powers authority, to block unauthorized military action, to defend international alliances that protect U.S. security, they could still act as a brake on this runaway executive, precisely because Trump's outlandish rhetoric has crossed lines that even allies find alarming. Let's not forget kidnapping a foreign head of state, killing 100 unnamed people in international waters, and threatening military action against allies all share one defining feature. Congress was cut out entirely. No authorization for the use of military force, no debate, no vote. This is exactly the scenario the framers feared. A president acting as prosecutor, judge, and general, all at once. And it's precisely why Congress exists as a co-equal branch. This is not a matter of partisan politics. Democrats have every reason to oppose Trump's grandiose foreign policy fantasies and domestic abuse, but the job of safeguarding norms and upholding constitutional checks falls squarely on Congress as an institution. It should not require Democrats to drag Republicans into defending NATO's principles or respecting international law. Republican lawmakers ought to lead this effort, not because they are obligated to every Democratic position, but because they swore an oath to uphold the Constitution. Instead, the GOP establishment teeters between fearful compliance and half-hearted pushback. That equivocation will not save America. It will not reassure allies. It will not prevent future abuses of power. All it does is embolden presidential overreach and further segregate the executive from protocol. Republicans in Congress now face a stark choice: defend the Constitution and the Republic, or continue down the path of personal political expediency. History will judge whether they acted with courage or collapsed into irrelevance when the nation needed them most. Trump's extremist far-right policies don't just affect Democratic voters, they make life worse for everyone. Ahead of the midterms, the only force that can legally, constitutionally, and effectively check a tyrant sitting in the White House is Congress. And within Congress, Republicans hold the keys. If they fail to act, this will not only have betrayed their own constitutional duties, but also handed the future of America on a silver platter to the very authoritarian impulses they once claimed to oppose. Mental health professionals warned us that Trump was dangerous. Many of us in independent media have been warning of this moment for years. It's time for Republicans in Congress to wake up to the destruction of their republic that they swore an oath to protect. I'm Anthony Davis. You can find me on the 5 Minute News YouTube channel and podcast, on Wednesdays co-hosting Uncovered, and on Sundays on the Weekend Show with MeidasTouch.
Love this video? Support independent media and unlock exclusive content, ad-free videos, and custom emojis by becoming a paid member of our YouTube channel today. You can also gift memberships to others. Let's keep growing together.